Hey, yo, what's going on, everybody? Derek here, back again. Happy Monday, Monday the 13th of December, right now. Appreciate anybody who's jumping in and watching this either live or after the fact. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave. We cover everything wholesaling real estate on the channel, specifically virtual wholesaling real estate, as that's what I'm doing. Currently living out in California, sourcing opportunity and closing deals in Houston, Texas. So if you're in Houston, either physically, that is your market, or if you're working that market virtually, I'd love to connect with you. Go ahead, drop a comment. Let me know that you're working the Houston market as well, and we'd love to have you in some of these future live sessions so that we can network and see if we can make something shake on any deals that you got coming down the pipeline. So, without further ado, today, Monday morning, I want to kind of revisit everything that I was doing last week and get right into sending some texts out for the day to start the week off. Just imported a new list into both my dialer and my texting platform. If this is the first time that you're tapping in here, what I do, and what, or at least what I've started to do, is when I skip trace my lists, I will then separate it between mobile and landline numbers. So I use batch skip tracing, and when they give you your skip tracing results, it will identify whether or not the numbers are mobile or landline. If you're interested in using batch skip tracing, I have a link down in the description. It'll allow you to sign up for free. And disclaimer that it is an affiliate link. So when you do end up using skip tracing services through batch, after signing up with that link down in the description, I do get a little bit of a kickback. I'm not even sure how much. Nobody's used it yet. So if you do end up using it, I appreciate you and thank you in advance. But by no means do you have to use that, but I would appreciate the support. So when you skip trace with batch, it lets you know, it gives you up to 10 phone numbers and up to 3 emails, as well as a bunch of other information. But primarily you're just looking for the phone numbers, maybe the emails when you skip tracing. I take the first. So first, I want to kind of take a step back. They are going to give you these numbers in order of likelihood of this number being the correct number that you're going to use in order to get a hold of this property owner. So you'll also see in the skip tracing results, when you open up the Excel file, it will show you a score from 1 to 100, and that's the likelihood of it being the correct person. So a lot of the first numbers are 100, meaning that that's going to be your best shot at getting a hold of the property owner. Not to say that it's maybe not the wrong number. This is just what batch has used algorithmically, whatever they're able to do with the data to determine that the first number is the most likely, the most accurate number for that property owner. So what I do is I sort it out and I grab all of the properties that have mobile numbers for that first number. So I grab all those properties, I grab that first mobile number, and I take all of those people and I put them into my texting platform. So to give you an idea of like what the numbers are looking like, I just skip traced a new list of 500 properties. I sorted it out to show me all of the properties that have a mobile number for that first number, which again is the most likely, most accurate number. Then I take those properties with that first mobile number and put it into my texting platform. And I think it was like about half of them, maybe a little over 200 of them had a mobile number as that first number. Now, then what I do is I take all of the other properties that have a landline as the first number. Some of these properties, a lot of these properties probably have mobile numbers as in the second, slot, and mobile numbers for the third number. But again, the likelihood of that being the most accurate number, it decreases. So that's why I only like to import the mobile numbers where it's listed as that first number into my texting platform. I just find, I could be doing it mistakenly, but at this point, I want to reserve as much of my marketing budget as possible. So if there's any way, where I can cross my T's, dot my I's, like I do with that, by only pulling that first mobile number, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just giving me peace of mind to know that I'm doing the most I can to, most accurately reach the people that I'm trying to reach, and not just wasting a bunch of money by texting landlines or texting mobile numbers that are, third, fourth in line behind these other more relevant numbers. So I'll take the rest of the numbers up to three numbers. I don't call anything beyond, the third or fourth number. So I'll take three numbers for all of the properties minus that first mobile number for the first half, and I'll bring all of them into my dialer. And then what I will do is kind of have both open at all times. I don't operate off of a central CRM, so I kind of house a lot of the leads that I've generated through my texting platform on my texting platform, and I set appropriate follow-ups on my texting platform for those leads. And then I have leads that I've generated through cold calling on my dialer, set proper follow-ups on that channel. But what will happen is, again, I have the same properties on both, but not the same numbers. So the mobile number, like property A in my texting platform, is going to have a mobile number, but that property A is also going to be in my dialer, but it doesn't have that mobile number. But what I like to do is just have them both open so that when people are texting me back saying they're not interested or no, and it's clear that it is the person that I'm looking to get a hold of and that they are not interested, I'll pull them up in my dialer real quick, just search it in the data and uncheck the ready toggle. I use call tools as my dialer. So if you know what call tools and you're familiar with it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just a little toggle that says ready or unready. And if it's ready, then it's going to be dialed when you go through and you call through your cold call campaigns. But if you toggle it off, then you can just be certain that you're not going to call that person. So when somebody tells me they're not interested through texting, I'll quickly pull them up in my dialer and I'll toggle them not ready so that I'm not calling those people. Not only am I, how do I explain this? Not only am I preventing myself from calling somebody on their landline when they texted me off their cell phone saying that they're not interested, which has happened, which is why it prompted me to do this. You'll text them on their cell phone. They'll say, no, F off, stop texting me about this property. I'm not interested in selling anytime soon, whatever the case may be. And then I accidentally call them on their landline and they say, didn't I just text you saying that I wasn't interested? So there's ways to get around it, but this is how I do it. It's a lot of manual labor that gets added, but again, with my tight marketing budget right now, the little things like this make a big difference. So if I'm, out of these 200 plus, let's say 250 people that I'm going to text, I would say probably like 50 of them are going to text me saying that they're not interested. So that's 50 people that I can go into my dialer, remove them from the campaign so that they don't get called. And I was going to say, not only does it prevent me from reaching out to the same person and having that uncomfortable conversation, but it also saves me time and money. And this really is time is money. It's how efficient can you be with the time that you have? So it ends up saving me time and money so that I'm not just calling those people. That way I'm always marketing to people who haven't been marketed to, or at least who haven't told me no already. So I'm fine with, texting somebody, and if they don't text back, calling them on the cold call or on the dialer. I'm cool with that. Marketing to them different ways because different people are going to respond to different marketing methods. But it's just when somebody tells me no, I don't want to continue marketing to them. At least not now, at this point in my career. Again, it's not going to be the same across the board. Somebody may say no to me, and I may not market to them for another year or something. But for somebody else who has the marketing budget to sustain that, they may get a no, and they may start marketing to that person again in 30 days because they know that circumstances change, people's situations change. And I'm at that understanding as well, but I just don't have the marketing budget to be, so proactively marketing to people who told me no. So, Peter, thanks for sharing your wisdom so consistently. Of course, appreciate you hopping in here. So, what I've done is this morning, I pulled a new list. I skip traced it again on batch skip tracing, link in the description. And I imported my mobile numbers into my texting platform and the rest of the numbers and properties into my dialer. So what I'm going to do today, right now, and worth noting that I recorded the whole process because I do feel like that should be one of the first people that I hire is just like a, I don't even know what you want to call them, just a VA, virtual assistant, but just for organizational purposes and time efficiency purposes. Like, I don't want to, if I could pay somebody just a few bucks every time I pull a new list to skip trace it for me, organize the data. I also, something, if I can pay somebody to do that a few bucks, I think it's worth my time. That way I can just hop on in the morning and start sending out texts. Hop on in the morning, start hitting the dialer. And that way I don't have to waste my time like cleaning all the lists myself and importing them and mapping all the data. Um, what was I just going to mention? Oh, something that I really drove home in the video that I recorded. And I recorded these videos so that when I do go to hire somebody, I can just simply provide them as kind of like an instruction manual, like, hey, this is how I do it right now. This is how I want you to do it. So what I really drove home in that video was proper capitalization. And I feel like this is a good point to lead into me sending out some text right now. But what I did when I first started using this texting platform was I didn't pay any mind to how the list was formatted when I imported it into my system. Then when I started sending off texts, I realized, hey, this looks kind of ugly. It looks kind of messy because sometimes the people's first names were all capitalized. So if it was Peter, it'd be like, "Hi, Peter," all caps. Have you ever considered parting ways with your address, which is also all caps? So it makes it very clear that it's like you're using some type of a robot, bot, platform like I'm using in order to just pull their information from some type of a bigger list and not taking the time to, properly capitalize things. It just makes it appear like a robot. Whereas you want to be sure this is something that I at least make a point to do, to each his or her own. If you don't want to do this, don't. But I'll tell you why I think it's beneficial in a second here. I now make sure to clean my lists on my Excel sheet before I import them texting platform. It doesn't really matter on my dialer because it's not people their information, the information that's on the list, but it is honestly just more pleasant to look at when I'm dialing. So I don't have to be looking at like all caps all day long. So I do clean it up for both. And you want to clean it up for texting again so that you can just become as human like as possible. That way you're going to increase possibly your deliverability rate, but it's for sure going to increase your reply rate. And I found that to be the case. And even you might even generate a lead out of it. And that's what I was going to lead into. So again, just to kind of reiterate what it is that I'm doing here, I'm cleaning my list and I'm making sure that everything is properly capitalized so that when I go to text these people automatically, the system is just pulling this information from the CSV file, the Excel file, CSV being comma separated file or comma separated value file. It's just simply pulling that and texting them right away. So it's saying Peter's address on 123 Main Street. So I'm going to pull his first name and I'm going to pull the address from this Excel sheet and I'm going to send off that first text. And Peter may be all caps on the Excel sheet. And if it is, then the text that gets sent out is also going to have Peter all caps. So that's why I clean it. That's why I properly capitalize it so that when it pulls the information and texts Peter, Peter is going to be properly capitalized with just that first P capitalized, as well as the address where just that first letter in the words of the address are capitalized. So, and the reason I say this and what I was going to lead into in that it may even generate you a lead is a lead that I'm working right now is a gentleman who is interested in selling 6 of his single family residence that he has as rentals. And when I was talking to him, this is a lead that I generated through text. And when I finally got him on the phone, I asked him, have you been thinking about selling these or did I just happen to catch you at a good time? It's pretty rare that somebody wants to hop on the phone after a text. And he goes, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I get texts on these properties all day, every day. But something about your text made me think to myself, this is a real person. This isn't just some robot that's texting thousands of other people at the same time. Funny he says that because that's exactly what I'm doing. It is a robot, and I am texting not thousands, but a couple hundred other people at the same time. But it was just very clear that he, everything that I put into place to make it appear as if I was as human like as possible, it worked, because he again said, I get texts all day, but something about your text made me think that you were a real person and it was worth talking to you. Uh, so just the progression of the outreach to him was, I sent him a first text, which was day one. I also dropped him a ringless voicemail. So he said, I got the voicemail from you, and I said, oh, this is the same person that just texted me. Let me go and be sure that I have a real missed call from this person. This guy is familiar with ringless voicemails. He knows that sometimes when you drop ringless voicemails, it doesn't actually show up as a missed call on your phone. But it did, which is something that this texting platform, I guess, is good at. So I'm glad that that was the case. So he said he pulled up his voicemail, saw that I left him a voicemail, recognized that, oh, this is the guy who just texted me. Let me be sure that this guy actually called me. He checked his missed calls. He was able to see, okay, he did call me and I missed him. Um, he, at that point, still didn't reply. But then the next day, I followed up, not manually. This is all automatic. This is all happening in the back end, and it's sending off these texts automatically, these ringless voicemails automatically. So the next day, 25 hours later, is what I think I have it set at. It sends him a follow up. Hey, just wanted to round back. I'd reached out to you yesterday with no success. I just wanted to see if you had any interest. And he had texted me back right then and said, I'm free in 5 minutes if you want to talk. So I called him in 5 minutes, and that was the conversation. And then when I got to ask, after we built a little bit more rapport, I learned about his situation. I asked that question, hey, have you been thinking about this, or did I just catch you at a good time? It's pretty rare that somebody wants to get on the phone so quickly and that they're open to discussing like you are. And he said what he said. To be honest, you seemed like the most human person, and you seemed like you were worth having a conversation with. So it goes a long ways. That was at least the intention behind me cleaning the list the way that I do, knowing or hoping that it was going to go a long way. And very shortly after I made that shift and that implementation into my process, did I generate a hot lead that said what he said about, and pretty much pointed out the fact that, hey, you're coming across as a human, and that's what prompted me to want to have a conversation with you. So that was pretty reassuring, and that's something that I definitely want to continue implementing moving forward, which is why I wanted to make sure that I documented that process in what I was doing this morning, in skip tracing a new list, importing it, so on and so forth, so that when I go to hire someone to do that, it's very, very clear. Rachel, Basque, Tech. I don't know what's going on with people. People are hopping in all the time. This is some spam. I don't know what's up with that. But Rachel, get the hell out of here. I don't know what people are. Yeah, some spam stuff. I don't know how to avoid that or what, man. It's coming down hard right now out here in California. I don't know if you can hear that, but if you can, I apologize. I want to leave the window open because I want to get some fresh air in here, but if it becomes too much of a hassle and you can't hear what I'm saying, let me know. So I'm going to hop back into the text. Like I said, I got 193 new records. That's how many people had the mobile number as their first number. But then I also have a couple of old lists that I want to just finish out and text the rest of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Also, let me know if it starts to get a little choppy. I know I have a lot of stuff open. I'm going through and closing out as many tabs as possible right now. Want to keep some of the stuff open for later, but all right, I'm going to come over here. This is a Fort Bend County absentee list. Some of these which I like that it does this though. Some of these are on the same list, so they will be tagged. You'll see both the tags when you go to pull it up. So I like that. Um, I didn't know that it did that until just now when I recognized it. So I like that it does that. So I sort it by last activity. Um, last activity meaning like if I sent them a text yesterday, the last activity would be 1 day ago. If I added them to the campaign 3 days ago and sent them that first text, in all likelihood, they will have gotten texted day 1, day 2, day 3. So last activity probably would still be 1 day ago, but you get the general idea. I just want to sort it out and give me people on this list who there is no activity, no last activity. That just means that they have never been added to a campaign and never been texted before. So I sorted by last activity. I have a good handful of people that have no activity. Not too many on this list to finish it out though. This list was 538 people, and now I have just about little over 30 people that I need to text to finish this list off. So I'm going to select all 50 of these records and then deselect the people who have already texted. So that leaves me with 38 records. I'm going to go ahead and add them right now to the campaign. So let's say add to campaign. Well, first what I want to do actually, I'm sorry. I should have done this before I hopped on, but I wanted to come over into the messages and clean it up a little bit because I have had some people text me since I was last on here. I don't really hop onto my texting platform over the weekend unless I have the app on my phone, so it'll notify me and I can see what people are saying and when they reply. Unless it's something favorable, I won't hop on. But for the most part, I will get texts over the weekend that say, stop texting me, take me off your list. So I just wanted to properly disposition these people and tag them accordingly because I hadn't already since over the weekend. So this person texted me yesterday night. Again, this is 3 days after I last texted her, but she texted me saying, stop messaging me. The system picked up on the word stop and automatically tagged her as DNC, removed her from the campaign, and added her to the DNC pipeline stage. Robert on Friday says, take me off your list. Don't be bothering me. It's hard because I don't know if that's actually the right person. Like if so he says, take me off your list, don't be bothering me. To be honest, that's not somebody who I want to call anyways because he says don't be bothering me. So I'm not going to add him to my, and I guess it's a little bit more context is needed. So these people, when they get added to my campaign and my texting platform, they get texted, ringless voicemails sporadically, not sporadically, it's all pre-templated, but over the course of the first 20 days, they're going to get, anywhere between 5 to 6 texts and 2 ringless voicemails, I believe, maybe just one. But once they get through the end and they still haven't replied, then they're going to get added to a pipeline stage that I have titled push to cold call, meaning that these people have been texted the whole campaign and they haven't replied at all. And now I'm going to bring them over to my dialer and now I'm going to call that number. So that's kind of what I was referring to earlier. I'm cool with doing that. If I'm going to text them and they're not going to answer, now I want to call them to see maybe if I can get a hold of them that way. But in this case, take me off your list. Don't be bothering me. This guy got the full campaign, didn't reply, but then said this after the last message went out. So this is somebody who I'm just going to leave on the DNC list and not going to bother trying to call him because he doesn't want to be called anyways. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I have. What?
I signed my 3rd January.
Let's go. How much? 12?
13.
Jesus. Congratulations. That is awesome. We got to celebrate. So stop messaging me. Take me off your list. Don't be bothering me. Again, just putting these people into their proper buckets. Making sure that they're not getting marketed to anymore. Making sure that I tag them accordingly. All that good stuff. I do not own this property, says this person on Friday afternoon. Tag them as wrong number already. So looks like I'm already all caught up. It was just a couple of people that texted me over the weekend. All right. So many people stop, wrong number, stop, no. All right. So now we're good. I just wanted to make sure that that was the case. Going to come back over into contacts and add that quick list of people that I was talking about, that 38 or so, just to finish off this list. Going to add them to the campaign, which is going to trigger that first message to go out, which asks them, it addresses them by their first name, and it asks them if they've ever considered selling their address, and it references the address as well. So sort this by last activity. You know, it doesn't say those things though, just to be clear. It doesn't say those words, those blacklisted words that have been flagged by the phone carriers. You know, you got to be careful, and that's just something you can Google it or find it through, you know, other means. I don't necessarily have a list that I can send you guys, but there is a long list of blacklisted words that are going to automatically be flagged by the carriers, and your number will be flagged as spam. You can't say things like sell, or I think buy is on there too, or out of the blue, right, is on there. Foreclosure. You know, these words, those words that are going to raise red flags and make it very obvious to AT&T or Verizon or whatever phone carrier is that this person is reaching out to this person unsolicited, right? It's spam. But know that if that person replies back to you, it's fair game. So once they reply to you, it opens up the window and opens up the opportunity for you to then say these buzzwords that you wouldn't necessarily be able to say in that first message. So just know you got to be very careful about what you say in the beginning. Once they reply and the conversation gets opened up, I even tried to not say those things in like the second or third reply. I really want the conversation to open up and develop a little bit before I start saying those type of words. So I don't really think that that's necessary, to be quite honest. Just, you know, just know what you're doing and be mindful of that. Don't just be operating blindly, because the last thing you want to do is get your phone numbers flagged. Now, not only do you have to get new phone numbers, but for anybody excuse me, anybody that you just texted off this phone number, if they want to reply back to you or they want to call you or whatever, that phone number is going to be automatically flagged as spam. So really what you're trying to in everything that you're doing using these type of softwares where your phone numbers are attached to it, where it's automatically sending off texts, automatically dropping voicemails, you know, automatically following up through text or email. You just want to be sure that you're becoming as human-like. Again, it's kind of the theme of this live session so far. Become as human-like as possible in doing these things. So over here again, grabbing those 38 people. I'm adding them to the campaign, which is my general 20-day campaign. I'm going to add in drip mode, which is like the most important thing to become as human-like as possible. What drip mode would allow me to do is put a batch quantity of 10 and repeat it every 1 minute. I'm just going to do 5 because it's only going to take me a couple minutes to get through these. So it should only take me 8 minutes to send these texts out to these 40 people, because it's going to send out 5 texts every 1 minute. And that's what drip mode allows me to do, as opposed to just sending off 40 texts all at the same exact time, because that alone is going to, regardless of what is said in the text, is going to raise suspicion with the carriers, because I'm sending off texts that are the exact same words to 40 different people all at the same exact time. So you always want to add it in drip mode if your texting platform allows you to. It asks for a description. I'm going to say 38 contact import to general campaign. This is just for future reference. Start on today at 3:30, which is my markets time. So be careful if you have your system set up for your time versus your markets time. My time within my system is my markets time, not mine. So, which is 2 hours ahead of me. So it's 1:26 my time. I'm setting it up so that the text gets sent out 3:30 my markets time, which is in 4 minutes. So batch quantity 5 every 1 minute, not 1 day. And then we hear what's going on, bro. Welcome. Getting ready to send off a couple texts. So, and then it gives you the option again it's optional, but it gives you the option to create a window of time for these texts to go out, just in case you do your math wrong. So again, I'm having it start in 3 minutes at 3:30. I know that it's only going to take 8 minutes if my math is correct, but just to be sure, I'm going to give it a window of 3:30 when I say that they're going to get sent out to 4 p.m. just in case for some reason my math was extremely incorrect. They're going to stop getting sent out after 30 minutes anyways. I think it should only take 8 to get through all of them. In fact, I know it's going to take less time than that, but just to be sure, again, just to put that extra little sense of security, that insurance policy, that if my math is wrong, it's not going to go beyond that 30-minute mark. So go ahead and add that to the campaign. Is going to add it to the bulk action queue here. And I can see that by going into my bulk actions. But instead, I'm going to just hop over to the conversations tab and wait for them to start sending off in 2 minutes. Blackjack, since we can't see your screen, can you share what you text these people? Yeah, of course. Blackjack, welcome. I think this is the first time you hopped in here, and I apologize that you can't see my screen. I know that that's a thing here on the channel, so I try my best to narrate like you're asking on what it is that I'm doing, and I promise, excuse me, I got some lodged in my throat here, but that is definitely something high on my list. I'm just unable to put in any or utilize any streaming software because my computer, I'm operating off my laptop, so it just doesn't have the processing power to be able to keep up with it. I tried using it like one time and it just went laggy like crazy. So the first text that I send off says, and I want to before I say this, I was very comfortable sharing my templates, my scripts with everybody when I first started my channel, because I didn't think that a lot of people were going to be tapping in. To be honest, I didn't really think anybody was going to be tapping in here to the content. So I want to kind of throw out a disclaimer before I start sharing the scripts. Please, 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 please tweak them at least a little bit. And I don't say that for selfish reasons. I say that for the community, because if you use the same script as me, not only will both of our texts start to get flagged because the carriers are picking up on the fact that, okay, here's some worker. Essentially, what you're always trying to do is just find loopholes, find new words to say, and find a new way of asking if they're interested in selling their property. So the carriers know that, and they are constantly adding to these blacklisted this blacklist of words that are spammy. So just know that if you're going to use the same exact script as me, not only are both of us going to get flagged and both of us are going to have to change our scripts, but the community in general will get affected because these new words are going to get added to the blacklist. stuff of that sort. Not to say that Blackjack, you had any intention on doing that. Not to say that because me and you share the same script, it's going to get flagged. But I just feel the need to throw out the disclaimer just for general, rule of thumb. Come in, practice, change it, tweak it, even if it's just a little bit. But since you asked, my first message says, hi, first name, where it pulls the first name from the CSV file, right? It's all imported through a comma separated value file through Microsoft Excel. So it's pulling the first name. Hi, first name. Have you given any thought to parting ways with address? And then I say, can we talk about it? And then if they don't reply after 3 minutes, then I drop them a ringless voicemail that sounds like this. Hey, I just texted you about a property I believe you own. I'm just going to go and tell you. I say, hey, I just texted. I don't know if you guys can. Let me know if the rain outside is too annoying or too loud. But it says, hey, I just texted you about a property that I believe you own. Me and my partner have some cash on hand, and we were looking to pick up one more property before the end of the month. Again, we can pay cash, and we can really close on your timeline as quickly as possible if that's something that you're interested in. Do me a favor, give me a shout if this seems like something that you may be interested in. And this is pre-recorded, so everybody gets the same ringless voicemail. And if you hear or maybe listen again, and when I say it, it's general. It doesn't say the person's name. It doesn't say their address. So that way you can use it for everybody. And then if they don't text if they don't respond to that, then day 2, they get another text. If they don't respond to that, day 3, they get another text. And then after that, it starts to taper off a little bit where, maybe 5 days later, they get another text. 7 days later, they get another text. And then I think that is probably the last text that they get. And again, if they don't reply to any of these, then it gets tagged as no response, and it automatically gets added to a list of people who have gone through the entire campaign and not responded. And every so often, I'll grab as many people out of that list as possible and bring them over to my dialer and then try to call them. So they didn't like being marketed to through texting, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't try calling them as well, because maybe I'll have better luck getting them on the phone. Maybe they get all types of texts and they just don't like texting. Maybe they would just prefer to hop on the phone with me and talk business. So that's how I do that. That makes sense, Blackjack? All right. This is almost a little too annoying for me. It's getting all wet in here and stuff. If you're in here and you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that like button. Appreciate you guys. Let me refresh my screen, make sure that they should have started going out 3 minutes ago. I don't see any of them being sent out yet. All right, there we go. Yeah, I'm late. So just got my first text back saying, I thought I did. I guess I didn't. So okay, see, I missed these. Vivian said, stop texting me. So the system picked up on the word stop and it added her to the DNC, tagged her DNC, all that. Yes, sir. Thanks very much. Love what you're doing. And I'll definitely change up the message. Hey, appreciate you, Blackjack. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if it's interesting enough to you, and we would love to have you in some future live sessions. I go live once a day, Monday through Friday, and just kind of like you mentioned, narrate what it is that I'm doing. When it comes to texting, it's probably the least interesting because you can't see it. But when I cold call, I have the sellers on speaker. When I do my follow up, they're on speaker, so you can definitely hear what they're talking about. And we're definitely building a little bit of a community here. People are starting to network and what have you. So we would love to have you. Um, Ronaldo said nothing. He just got another text that went out. All right, here we go. These are some older lists. I don't really. The only reason I'm just trying to clear out the list. I have it in the system, so I at least want to just some. Like I said, this should only be like 40 people. It should take less than 10 minutes for these to go out, and then I'm going to send off another batch. But I want to take note of how many I'm sending out because I have a goal of sending off 500 a week minimum. So here we go. Mr. Fu texted me back saying wrong number. I have the trigger set up in the back end of this to pick up on that the phrase wrong number, and it automatically tagged him as wrong number and added him to the wrong number pipeline stage. So, and it marked it as red, so I technically didn't even have to look at it. It handled it all on its own. But I'm just going through and kind of going through individually and taking a look at these texts that went out. Mr. Thomas says, stop texting me. Again, picked up on that word stop, and it had tagged him DNC and added him to my DNC list. Getting a lot of replies right now. I have nothing to talk about. Wrong number. Not one thought. Take me off your list. Call my mom. She is the owner. Wrong number. So, and I had somebody say 500,000, which I imagine is way overpriced, but I'll take a look. But just knowing this county that I'm marketing to, and typically the parameters in which I try to put current market value at like max 350,000 when I go to pull my list. So if anybody says a price over that, I can safely assume that it's an unrealistic number and that they're kind of just being smart about it, or just kind of shooting for the moon. But I'll always double check. I'll at least pull them up on Zillow, see what the Zestimate is. But again, I can pretty much safely assume that they are just kind of being jerks about it. Not one thought, take me off your list. That phrase "take me off" is in the back end, so again, it automatically tagged them DNC. I mean, I haven't done anything here. I'm just reading this to you guys, but you can tell how powerful it is. I've already gotten like a handful of texts, and the system itself is just handling all of that and tagging it, putting it in the proper pipeline stage, marking the text as red so that it doesn't even have to be put on my radar. It just gets handled. Subscribed a couple weeks ago. Thanks, Blackjack. Appreciate that. Now that you mention it, I feel like I saw your name. Your name is familiar, but I don't know if I've ever seen you in the chat. So we'd love to have you. I appreciate you hopping in today. So these are some more texts that have gone off. I'm just going through and I'm checking to make sure that none of them are kicking back as errors, because sometimes landlines get added into this list. So this one kicked back as an error. So I tag it as cold call, which will add it to that list that I was referring to. Every time like this list hits maybe a couple hundred people, I'll take that list and I'll bring it to my dialer. So this one is probably a landline, which is why it kicked me an error. The only unfortunate thing about the system is that it will continue sending text to these numbers, even if it kicks it back as an error. So I like to, at this point in my career with my tight marketing budget, I like to just go through with these texts individually and make sure that I'm not wasting money by marketing to numbers that aren't even receiving the text. So this one I tag cold call. But once you're doing this at scale, I imagine the amount of money that gets spent on, marketing to incorrect numbers or landlines is pretty insignificant and pretty minimal in the grand scheme of things. But again, for my tight marketing budget, I try to do as much as I can here and there to be sure that I'm not wasting money. Bro, audio issues. We can't hear. Oh, damn. Is it the rain? Is it the rain or is it just let me just exit out of all these other tabs. All right. Let me know if that fixes it. I will always love dogs. And let me know if it's the rain. Is it like does it sound like staticky or am I just kind of like skipping around? Because if it's the rain, I could just close the window. I'd prefer to leave it open if it's not that, but let me know if it is. And also, I want to be sure that what I do is to avoid calling somebody on their landline after they've already told me no by texting me off their cell phone. I have my dialer open up on a different tab. So when somebody says, stop texting me, somebody who I've already talked to, her name is Vivian Kwan, I can just come over here and search for Kwan in my dialer. If she is in here, I can see that she is not. So I have nothing to worry about. But if it was, I just go ahead and I toggle them not ready so that I don't end up calling them as well. Same with anybody who texts me back with a favorable response. I don't want to call that person on their landline because we're already going back and forth through their cell phone. So, and I'm forced to do that because I don't operate off of a central CRM. I have my leads that I generate through text on my texting platform and the leads that I generate through cold calling on my dialer. And I follow up with them, in their respective platforms. You got me worried. I will always love dogs. Let me know. Let me know if you guys can hear me now. If I closed out a bunch of different tabs and stuff, so I'm hoping that resolve the issue. But let me know if you still can't hear, and let me know if you think it's the rain. Not one thought. Take me off your list. So this seems like somebody who I am. That is the right person. That's the only thing that I'm really trying to be cognizant of is if I'm going to remove them from my dialer, I want to be sure that they're telling me something through text that leads me to believe that it is in fact the right person. So like Sherilyn here. She texts me back saying no thanks. Now, to me, if that wasn't the right person, she probably wouldn't have responded or she would have just said no. If somebody just says no, I don't. But if they're going to be like nice about it and say like no thanks, I don't know. To me, it leads me to believe that I am talking to the right person. I don't know. I could be wrong in that, but that's how I'm operating right now. So I'll tag her not interested. I removed her from my dialer. Call my mom. She's the owner. I have nothing to talk about. Thanks. Go ahead. Tag this wrong number. And then the last one that I wanted to take a look at was that person who texted me back saying 500,000. I'm going to pull her up and then I'm going to push her to Zillow, see what the estimate is. All right. his estimate is 310,000. So I think that I was accurate in my guess, in my assessment that this is a kind of just somebody trying to be silly. Maybe not even being silly, just saying pretty much, hey, if you're not gonna come with this price, I'm not going to sell it. So, which I get, I can understand that. So I like to give these people as high asking price because I do like to revisit them, or I will like to revisit them at one point in time. Um, and then mark her not interested as well. This is somebody who I'm actually going to mark as not interested because I think that it's way high of an asking price. But if it was like somewhat reasonable, I may not tag her not interested and just leave her tagged as high asking price. But in this case, I'm going to tag her as both. All right. I will always love dogs. Are you in here? Can you hear me? Check, check. Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. Let me know. I might just restart this thing right now because I don't want that to be the case. Let me give somebody a second to let me know that they either can or cannot hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. I'm not getting any feedback here, so I'm just gonna start it because I don't want that to be the case. I don't want to go through this whole video. Sound is good now. All right, cool. Appreciate you, Blackjack. Had me nervous. I guess that's what the case is. I guess my computer is just way slower than I think, and I can't have like multiple. All right, appreciate you guys. The audio is fine, and I'm just getting your text right now. I mean, I don't know if maybe you guys sent that a while ago. I don't know. My computer, I just need a new computer. I need a bunch of new stuff. But all right, I'm gonna hop back over here. I sent off 38 so far. Let's see how many more people are on these older lists that I can send text off to. Let me just make sure that I did in fact finish that list. I did. So what I'm gonna do is delete this. All right. Being good. Everything's good. All right. Cool. 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 All right. Got this other list here. This one was 113 people long. It doesn't look like I've texted this list at all. So that's cool. I can grab all 113 of them and send the text off. So I'm going to grab these 100. Skip over to the next page. Grab the last 13. Add them to the campaign. Add in drip mode. 113 contact import to general campaign. I'm going to start today at 3:52, which is in 3 minutes. Right? Yeah. I'm gonna send off 7 every minute. Somebody with a quick math, tell me how long that'll take. 113 divided by 7. Give me a little over. I'll do 8 so that I can just get it done in 15 minutes. 113. I'll be able to get that done in 15 minutes, a little less, about 14 minutes. So I will put this window of time from 3:30 p.m. through 4:30 p.m. because it goes in 30-minute intervals. Boom. Add in drip mode, add a campaign. Boom. All right, so now we got another 113 pending right now. Yeah, 113 pending, getting ready to go out in 2 minutes here. What I want to do, what I should have done, is tested these numbers, but I am getting some replies, so it's all good. I don't ever plan on calling off of these numbers again because I think all of them are flagged as spam. When I called myself off of these numbers, all of them popped up as spam. But when I text people, people are still replying to me too. So I don't think there's any issue there. I did test texting myself as well, and it does not pop up as spam. Just when you call somebody. So I got a new application called Sideline, and it's going to be a dedicated phone number for myself that I'm going to use to follow up with people. So now I have like 3 or 4 numbers that rotate when I text. I have 3 or 4 numbers that rotate when I cold call, different numbers. And then I have one dedicated number on Sideline that I'm going to use to follow up with anybody who shows interest but may not be like a warm or a hot lead. And then for the warm or hot leads where we've already developed that rapport, and we're pretty much talking shop to the point where it's like a contracts in the near future, or they maybe ask like, is this the best number for you to reach out? um, I'm going to then provide them my Google Voice number, which is my quote unquote cell phone. I may have to replace that number because one of these leads last week told me that when I called him off my Google Voice, it did pop up as spam. When I've tested it since then, it hasn't. But something to definitely kind of be aware of. I may have to just get a new Google Voice number and implement this new system that I'm talking about. I didn't always do it this way. Only once that guy mentioned that my number popped up as spam did I realize, hey, I shouldn't be calling just anybody off of my Google Voice number. I was calling all of off of my Google Voice number, but a lot of these people are no longer interested, even though at one point they told me they were. Maybe they changed their mind. Maybe they're just tired of hearing from me. So they may be flagging my Google Voice number as spam, despite the fact that at one point in time they told me they were interested, which was why I'm following up with them in the first place. But still, so now I have a dedicated line for any and all follow-ups, and only once it's clear that this person is interested, ready to move forward within the next 30 to 45 days, and is clearly not going to like report me. Or that's another thing, you don't want to just start giving your number out to anybody. If you're cold calling and somebody asks for your name, number, and company name, address, that type of stuff, do not give it to them. They will report you. So if anybody who's been following along, they know how I kind of respond to that. I say, oh, it's just my partner and myself, kind of like a little mom and pop operation here. We're not big time by any means, but we're able to do 1 to 2 projects every month, so we do have some cash on hand, and we're looking to pick up one more property before the end of the month. And that would be a response that I give to somebody who asks, what company do you work for? I say, oh, it's just my partner and myself, little mom and pop operation, right? I do have a company name, I do have an LLC, but I'm not going to give them that information because I don't even know who this person is. They just answered and started asking these questions. Whereas a rookie to this, somebody who's just starting out, may think that they're just asking out of curiosity, but that's not why they're asking. They're asking because they're going to report you. So be careful with that. All right. First text. No, leave me the F alone. So this is somebody who I actually do want to pull up in my dialer to make sure that I remove him, because sounds like it's probably the right person. And even if it's not, I'm not going to test it. But the system, again, picked up on that F-bomb, and it tagged him DNC and did all that good stuff. Just hopping through here, making sure that none of these are kicking back as errors, accidentally texting landlines, or it'll kick back error for a number of reasons. But if it's going to kick back an error at all, I'm just going to automatically tag it as cold call. so that I can stop texting them and then just pull them over to my dialer. You got the wrong person. Wrong person. That phrase got picked up on, so the system tagged them as wrong number. Cody said, no, my brother lives there. I'm going to hit him with a templated response that's geared towards somebody who says, no, not right now. So I'm going to respond saying, completely understand. Do you think you would have any interest in the near future? I'd love to stay in touch and reconnect when the time is right for you. Just in case, oh, my brother lives there now, but he plans on doing something later. You know what I mean? I just want to throw out a little feeler, see if he may have any interest beyond his brother living there. The fact that he told me that kind of opened up the conversation. Had he had zero interest at all, he probably wouldn't have ever mentioned why. It's like almost like he's justifying, like, no, I don't want to sell because this. So I think it's appropriate for me to say, well, if this wasn't the case, would you want to sell? Worth it to me to send him just one more pre-qualifying text to see if it's worth following up with him at a later date. And he replied saying no. So cool. So now I know I'll tag him not interested. I know that this is the right person, so I'll pull him up in my dialer and I will remove him from any campaigns on my dialer so that I'm not wasting time or money to try to reconnect with this guy when he's already told me no. Mm-hmm. Please don't text us anymore. Say DNC, and I can assume that that's the right person. Again, when it comes to these type of people, I just don't like risking it anyways. The last thing I want to do is get this person on the phone. I could be doing that incorrectly, or somebody may watch this and say, oh no, you just get the second no, that's what my coach says, so I know that people do that. But at the end of the day, I'm a one-man show. So the ringless voicemails that I send are my voice. When I cold call, it's going to be obviously my voice. So there is some benefit in having a team, because then you can have one person record the ringless voicemail. And then when you call them off of a different number, it won't be like, wait, you're the guy who just texted me. You're the guy who just, so I know that the opportunities open up when you have multiple people as part of the operation. But again, for me, I'm a one-man show. So I kind of have to take a little bit of extra effort in certain areas of my business to be sure that I'm. So Eli says, don't contact me. That one did not as a trigger. So I want to take note, because that is something where I want to add that phrase to that trigger. And I try to do this as often as possible. If somebody sends me a text, and I think to myself, if anybody ever texted me saying don't contact me, I can probably safely assume that they should just be added to the DNC list, So I'm constantly trying to, improve my process, refine my process. And when I'm doing that through texting, it's usually in the form of that, picking up on responses from sellers that are pretty common, to the point where I can create a trigger in the back end to look out for this phrase that gets commonly sent to me, so that it can handle it all on the back end without any manual effort on my part. Paula says not for sale. Tag her not interested and go find her in my dialer and untoggle the ready so that she gets removed from any cold calling campaigns. Ant says, sell your house. How much do you want? I'm going to tag him not interested. I'm not going to remove him from the campaign though on my dialer because again, I don't know if that's actually Lance. He's frustrated, but the one thing that I do know is that when I go to my dialer, I don't have the same exact number in my dialer. So I only bring in the first mobile number into my texting platform, and I bring all the other numbers into my dialer. So I at least know that I'm not going to get a hold of the seller on the same phone number, but I may be texting them on their cell phone and then cold calling them on their landline. That may happen. But in a situation like this where I'm not even sure if this is Lance, I'm not going to go and just remove that entire property from my cold calling campaign because for all I know, this is somebody else. Antonio says this is not Antonio, so I can be pretty sure that's not Antonio. Oh, what's up?
Is it too late to change my mind about being the one to pick him up?
Yeah, and
Is it really? What the fuck am I supposed to do with him?
does he desperately need to go out?
For sure, he's like bothering me.
It looks like it's gonna die down within the next couple of hours. By 4, it's supposed to be 50%. You know what I was thinking too? He may even just get enough mental stimulation if you bring him over to your parents and just hang out with him inside.
Yeah, I just don't want to. That's why I didn't think it's too late. Stop. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ow, Leo, come on. Stop. Stop.
I really wouldn't have minded if you hadn't offered, but I'm going out and a little bit here. All right. Lawson says stop. I think that may be everybody from. No, I said 130. Oh, no. Yeah. No, that still doesn't seem like it would spend 15 minutes. Well, I can go check. 203, I can come over to my contact, look at my bulk actions and see how far along it is. So 85%. So we still have a good number of people to text from that bulk action. So there we go. Nothing too favorable, to be honest. I don't expect it to be on these older lists, but recently I've been getting strong lists. Who had maybe somebody in here, Jared, but where I pull my list. But I pulled some lists recently, and they've been really, really good. Really strong reply rate and all that good stuff. So I'm excited to start texting these ones. I just want to make sure that I at least text these people because they haven't been texted before. I have them in my system here. So I wanted to kind of get these out of the way so that I can prioritize and turn to these newer lists where I'm getting a much stronger reply rate. So I do apologize. This isn't like the best of texting, but it's also Monday. Maybe people just aren't replying. Who knows? And I also, these lists aren't formatted like I want them to be. As I mentioned, I'm making a point to format them properly before I import them into my system so that everything is properly capitalized, being their first name and their proper address at minimum. Um, if I ever do have to reference anything else that I import, I want to make sure that that's properly capitalized as well. But in the initial text, it pulls from the CSV file their first name and their address. So I want to be sure that those were at least properly capitalized. Um, and I have done that moving forward. And in fact, it's definitely generated a higher reply rate for me after doing that. Again, just falls under that same umbrella of doing anything you can to come across as human-like as possible, since we're utilizing these bots essentially to send off messages at high volume. So you want to just be sure that you're doing as much as you can in any area that you can take control of to be sure that you're coming across as a human. So Roman says wrong number. System picked up on that. Let me take note of where I left off. Have some unreads here. House is sold, says Carolyn. I'm going to give her the pre-templated response here to that already sold. And I say, okay, would you happen to have any other property you'd be interested in selling at the moment? I'm going to go ahead and tag her as already sold and pull her up in my dialer again and remove her from any cold calling campaigns that I have, because it would just be a waste of my time to call her and ask her again if she wants to sell. So take that little bit of an extra effort to remove her from the dialer to be sure that that's avoided. What's that? What? Yeah. Did you make an offer on that portfolio? I had made him an offer, but he declined it. But we, sorry, Ari, I'm jumping around here. I made him an offer of 550 to 575,000 for all 6 properties. He declined, but he wasn't insulted by any means. He knows that that's pretty much where I would have to be for a cash offer, but he owns all the properties free and clear. So he had actually proposed. He was like, I get it. You got to make money on it too. But I would be open. I would possibly be open to seller financing this, since I own all the properties free and clear. So we're taking that route. We left off. I asked when he declined my cash offer range of 550 to 575. I had asked, well, what did you have in mind for a cash offer? And he says, I honestly don't know, but whether you buy it cash or you get a loan or however you want to buy it, it doesn't really matter to me. He was saying these things. He was like, a quick close, again, doesn't really matter to me. I'm not desperate to sell. Obviously, I don't want the process to drag on if we can come to an agreement, but really, like, the benefits that wholesalers are spitting off, for a cash offer don't really pertain to him and his situation. So he was like, I'll seller finance it though. So we left off and I said, okay, why don't we take the weekend, take however, many days you need, figure out what it is that, what your bottom dollar is for a cash offer. If that takes, because again, it's going to be a lot cleaner. It's going to be a lot simpler, smooth, easy, streamlined transaction. And once it's done, and he has the cash in his pocket. But he's going to be able to make a lot more money by seller financing it. So I said, figure out what your bottom dollar is for the cash offer, and then figure out what you would be expecting in terms of terms for seller financing. How much money do you want to put? Would you want me to put down? What type of interest? I didn't say these things, but I'm just saying this to you. He knows what all this stuff is. He's going to figure out what it is that he's going to expect for down payment on each property, interest rates, how long he wants it amortized over the loan, all that stuff when it comes to seller financing. So I've been educating myself on seller financing over the weekend, really familiarizing myself with it. But I brought this to my coach, and he actually may be interested in buying them himself. I know he works the um, Virginia. He works in Virginia, a lot of markets across Virginia. But he has made a note saying that he is expanding into different markets come 2022, and Houston was one of them. So I brought this as an opportunity to him, laid out all the details, gave him the address, and he says this may be something that I'm interested in buying myself. So if that's the case, what I might do is just have him start communicating directly to my seller, because I know my coach is going to be fair um, in paying me what I deserve for these properties. So there's no issue there on like trying to withhold information from my coach or anything like that. And to be honest, it may just be better to connect them to, as opposed to me just playing telephone and playing middle between the two. So I might end up just doing that, but I'm expecting a phone call from the seller either today or tomorrow. But if I don't hear from him by tomorrow, he gave me the full green light. Hey, if you don't hear from me by Tuesday, please feel free to reach back out on Wednesday, because this is definitely a conversation that I want to continue. So really high vibes on the conversation. Great conversation. Good lead. Good opportunity here for sure. Just somebody that I got to stay on top of, and yeah, I'm gonna try to my best to communicate this with my coach, because this is probably gonna be one, or probably gonna be 6 properties that he ends up buying. So that's where I'm at with that. You wholesale in California, Mr. Junior? I do not. I do not. I do everything virtual at this point. In the Houston market, I live out in the San Francisco Bay Area. Virtually wholesale out in Houston. That's where I'm sourcing opportunities. So nothing in California, but I do have some people know some people out here. I'm in a group of people who wholesale in California, and I know a bunch of people in California that are somewhat affiliated into the real estate industry. So if you have opportunity out here, by all means, feel free to send it my way. But just know that it probably won't be me helping you out with it. It's going to be somebody that I know. Mr. Junior, I think this is the first time I've seen you in here as well. So welcome. I don't know if you're already subscribed, but please do subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and we would love to have you in future live sessions here. I try to go live at least once a day, Monday through Friday. So again, if this is your first time in, you're enjoying this, is kind of a weird type of live session today, but I try to get on the phone with people, and I'll have them all on speakers so you can hear the full conversation and what have you. But yeah, do me a favor if you haven't already, hit that like button before you leave, and subscribe if you're interested in continuing to join these live sessions. We would love to have you. So I got a couple people. I'm going to go through and just click through, make sure I'm not sending these off to people. And it's kicking back as an error. Again, it will kick back as an error if it's like a landline or for a number of other reasons. But if it's going to give me an error at all, I just like to remove them from the campaign, because it will still market to them despite it kicking back as an error. So I think that's one of the main things that they need to implement in this software, is being able to just turn off the marketing when it kicks back as an error, because who wants to continue? I bet there is not one person who uses the software that gets an error kickback and says, you know what, I'm just going to continue sending text to this number in case at one point it's, the number gets reestablished with this own. Like, nobody's saying that. I wish that they would just address that sooner rather than later. But that's what I'm doing now, just kind of clicking through here individually and making sure that I'm not continuing marketing to people if they're not even receiving the text. All right, so here we go. Not for sale. That phrase right there, I do in the back end, so it picked up on that. So I'm going to go find this person in my dialer and remove them. Item A is her name. Some of these people I've already tried calling them a number of times. Like her, I've already tried her 6 times. So she was already removed from the campaign. Having a coach is like having a cheat code, no doubt. No doubt. Even just the group in general. I very rarely have. I mean, this is the only time I'm directly talking to him, because of this opportunity. But just the fact that I'm in this community, it's like a community of like 400 or 500 people, all wholesaling. So Just being around people who do the same thing as you, it's pretty like motivating and it keeps you going. I'm learning how to wholesale. I'm here in California. I just subscribed. Thank you. Cool, Mr. Junior. I appreciate that. I appreciate the subscription and wish you the best of luck. I hope that you're able to take something away from this and implement it to start off your career. I have to leave, but I'll be sure to watch your content. All right, Mr. Junior. I appreciate you hopping in here. I appreciate you subscribing, and I appreciate you letting me know that you're going to watch some more content. We look forward to having you in some future live sessions. Take care and have a good Monday. All right. Ida May, not interested. Viola, not interested. Thanks. Of course. Not interested. I'll go find her. You may hear me shivering. I got the window open, and now that my girl left, the door is cracked, and the window out in the living room is probably open, so there's a huge draft, and it gets so much colder. All right. So I have Christopher that says no. Again, this is not somebody who I'm going to remove because I can't really be sure if that is the right Christopher that I'm looking for. Michael, haven't owned it in 6 months. What kind of outfit you work for? Sad. I'd look for a new firm. So this is somebody who I would typically ask if they have any other properties, but he's being an ass about it. So I'll just go ahead and tag him as already sold. Some people may look at this and be like, oh, why not? You got to ask him. I quit my job and I pursued this so that I can dictate who it is that I do business with and how it is that I make money. And even if this person had 20 properties for sale, I would never want to do business with him. Call me petty, but again, that's the reason why I got into this. Finally made it one of your lives. Angelica, what's going on? Appreciate you hopping in here. And if I recall correctly, we've been going back and forth through Instagram, right? So that one, again, marked him not interested. And again, somebody may look at this and be like, oh, Derek's petty. He's letting his emotions get in the way of his business. He needs to be asking that question regardless. Again, I don't care. If it's not somebody I want, why do I own my own business? So that I can people please everybody that comes along? Why does restaurants have the sign out front that says no shirt, no service? Because they get to choose who it is that they serve. I get to choose who it is that I serve and help in doing what I'm doing. And that guy is not somebody that, even if he needed my help, I wouldn't want to help in the first place. Do you ever hit the not interested after 6 to 12 months? I don't, but I plan on it. I've only been doing this for about a year. So I've touched base on this a few times before. I know that some of the big wholesalers, some people who have huge operations, they're touching that list every 30 days, right? Because it's worth it to them to just get another no. And again, it's different when wholesalers have separated themselves from the day-to-day operations and they're just having their cold callers call these people, because those are the type of people you're going to get cursed out. You're going to get, how many times do I have to tell you? So it's just not something that I'm really interested in pursuing at this point in time. But I know that there's opportunity in that. So I am making sure that I'm tagging everybody appropriately, so that when it does come time and my marketing budget is expanded a little bit and I have the time or resources to market back to those people, I at least have them saved. So it's so cool. A few different places where I plan on marketing to in the future that I don't is people who are not interested, people who give me a high asking price, because again, they have a high asking price now, but the fact that they're even giving me a price lets me know that there's some consideration there. So it may be worth following up in 6 months to see maybe their circumstances have changed enough to the point where they I thought that was a little too bright reflecting off my glasses, but maybe their circumstances have changed enough where maybe they're willing to reduce their asking price. So I make sure to tag those people high asking price, not for any immediate reason because I'm not marketing to them, but because later down the road, I do plan to remarket to them. So to answer to your question, no, not right now, but I do plan on it in the future. Benny says, no, not now. So I'm going to reply with a template saying, completely understand. Do you think you would have any interest in the near future? I'd love to stay in touch and reconnect when the time is right for you. Send that off. I'm going to leave that untagged for now. I'm not going to tag him not interested. I'm going to wait for the response, but he is tagged replied. So what I do, and I'm trying to make a habit of doing this every evening, every night when I'm done, marketing for the day, is to go back and look at everybody who has the replied tag and make sure that, okay, Benny never replied. Let me just go ahead and mark him not interested and get him. Replied is the section where I kind of leave people pending. That makes sense. So I want to start every day with a empty replied column. Sorry, it's not for sale. .yet, period. So I'm going to say the same thing. Completely understand. Oh, wrong one. Completely understand. I'm going to tailor this a little bit, though, because he's made a point to say yet. I'm going to say completely understand. No, I'm not. Do you think you would have any interest in the near future? I'd love to stay. I'm just going to say the same thing. Getting a few more texts coming in. When you cold calling, I'm gonna try to finish up texting right now, and I'm gonna try to squeeze it in. I might have to jet in a little bit, but I'm gonna try to squeeze it in today. Cold calling. If I don't, typical schedule for me is cold call Wednesday through Friday, text Monday through Tuesday. But I'm definitely trying to start cold calling on top of my text days as well. How do you get sellers to come to you instead of you going after them? I don't, but you implement different forms of marketing. You set up Google ads, you run Facebook ads, you put up billboards, you put newspaper ads, you do radio ads, you pay for the marketing, and you wait for people to come to you. Referrals, right? That's going to be the best because they're coming to you, and it's likely coming from somebody who referred them to you and spoke highly of you. So there's already that level of trust established. But yeah, I'm all proactive. I'm texting, cold calling. I'm going to them. So to answer your question, how do you do it in general? You implement different marketing channels that prompts inbound leads. So setting up ads, running ads, just know that they're going to be like depending on your market, they're likely going to be more expensive leads, and you have to be there right away. If somebody is on Google and they're typing in sell my house for cash, I can almost guarantee you that your website or your landing page is not the only website or landing page that they're going to go to. They're going to go put their information into 10 different websites. And it really is whoever calls them first and establishes that trust, that rapport, and tells them what they're wanting to hear. So that's why I say you have to be sitting in front of a computer and in front of your phone at all times, because you have to be that first person to call them right away. What text platform do you use? I use REI Reply. REI, like REI Capital there. REI Reply. Miguel says, I said, when do you think is a good time? He says, maybe. Thank you for asking. I'm going to just say, when do you think I should follow up? To just be a little bit more direct about the question. I think that English may be his second language, so I want to be sure that I'm just as direct as possible. Benny, despite Benny saying no, not now, and me asking if it's appropriate for me to follow up, he said no. So perfect. I'll go ahead, mark him not interested, find him in my dialer, and remove him from my cold call campaigns. Um, yeah, that's that. Sherry says nope. Same thing. Um, Carol says going on the market Wednesday. Mm, um, I'll say great. I'll be sure to look out for that and submit an offer through the proper channels just so I know, is this place fully renovated? She may not even reply to that. Just want to get an idea if she's selling it as is on market or she's selling it on market because it deserves top dollar. Wouldn't it be easier to work with corporate sellers and buyers than a domestic homeowner? It seems with a corporate, people about their money instead of the story. It's a good question. Um, you're not going to be able to get properties at a discount by doing that. If I had to just give you a general answer to that, you're not going to, like you said, they're about their money. So why would they sell it to you for a discount? It's these individual homeowners that have problems that need to be solved that sometimes and quite often what I'm finding have nothing to do with the real estate. The real estate is just the tool, the asset that can be liquidated in order to solve their real problem, right? Um, I've come across a couple of people who have medical bills they need to pay off. Nothing to do with the house that they own, but they're willing to sell their house at a discount because they need the cash now. They need to pay for this surgery. They need to pay for this healthcare. They need to put their mother or father in a care home, and they need to pay for the first month, last month, and deposit. You know, so that's why. And I think honestly, if I had any bit of advice, would be to, that's really the mind frame that you have to be in when you're marketing to these people as well. Know that you're really just a problem solver, and you solve these problems by buying these people's houses. You're not a person that's coming around and just transacting real estate willy-nilly, whoever wants to sell at whatever price. No, we need to find the people who are going to benefit most from this, because those are the people who are going to be willing to sell at a discount. So that's one half of your question. The other half is corporate buyers is probably the better route. You're right. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult to find those buyers. And they have a little bit more structured criteria. You're not going to be able to just bring these hedge fund buyers any property. It needs to fit their buy box. It needs to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 15 to 1700 square foot in these zip codes. You know, they're going to be very much more limited in what they're buying. But if you can bring them something, based on what I've heard, I've never sold to a hedge fund, but based on what I've gathered and heard, is if you can meet their buy criteria, they will pay top dollar. They're going to pay the most. They're going to pay more than any other individual cash buyer. So hopefully that makes sense. Instead of a story, you need that story. That story is everything. That story is your assignment fee. That story, that problem that you solve is going to be directly correlated to how much money you make in an assignment. If they have a little problem that you can solve, they may be willing to sell it to you at a slight discount because their problem isn't that big, right? It's not that much of an issue to them. Hey, you're going to come along, if you can solve this problem, sure, I'll sell it to you for a slight discount, which means that you're going to be able to make a small assignment fee. If they have a huge problem and you come along and you're able to solve it, they're going to say, hey, if you can solve this, you can take the property. You know, as long as you're able to solve this problem for me, I'll sell it to you at whatever price you want. You know, that's not going to happen all the time. Close than ever, but you get what I'm saying. If they have a huge problem equals huge discount equals huge assignment fee. It's all correlated. Carol says the place is fully renovated. So I will say I have listed on MLS as a tag. So I'm going to go ahead and tag her that. Not something that I'm necessarily interested in. I have not at least implemented wholesaling on market properties into my process. I may at one point in time. I know that people see success in doing that, but I'm just limiting myself to off market opportunities for now, which is something that I do in a lot of areas of my business. I try very hard to avoid shiny object syndrome, and I stick to what I know. I stick to like this play right here with this 6 property portfolio and seller financing. That's me stepping out of my comfort zone. That's me entertaining something that I don't have full knowledge on, and I know that that's necessary in order to continue growing. But at the same time, I don't want to screw people over and play with their problems and their situations just because I'm wanting to try something out. You know, that's why I really would like for my coach to get involved on this one, for me to see how he does it from beginning to end. And that way, I'll feel a lot more comfortable doing it myself the next time around. So Carol says that it is fully renovated. I tagged her MLS, and I'm going to come over and find her in my dialer and remove her from my dialer as well. Gerald says, I asked if he's given any thought to selling. He said yes and not interested. Thanks. Tag him not interested. Go find him in my dialer and remove him from the dialer. All right. So I got 2 people who gave me prices that seems reasonable. I got Juliana that says 200,000, and she said some weird stuff, but I think she just meant 200,000 is her asking price. So I'm gonna pull up and see what it says on Zillow. Zestimate is 174. I don't like the area or the city this is in. I could run some quick comps to determine if that is a reasonable asking price, because if you watch this as well before my videos, I have found that the Zestimate sometimes can be upwards of $60,000 less than the ARV is. So in some cases, Zestimate is fairly close to what I'm able to offer as a cash offer. So sometimes, I just like to comp those out regardless if it's close enough. She is asking over this estimate, so it leads me to believe that she's being unreasonable. And she also said in this 200,000, and I'm willing to part with my house. So I think she's just being kind of smart about it. But I'm gonna. What I can do also, and what I like to do, is just quickly pull it up in PropStream, because PropStream will also have an estimated value attached to it. So that's what I'll do for this one, just quickly. I won't comp this one right now because I don't think it's going to be worth my time. But I at least want to see what the estimate is in PropStream, and if the estimate is something over 200,000, then it may be worth just comping real quick. So let me copy and paste that address into PropStream. Hold it up in PropStream, and the estimated value in PropStream is 193. So again, leads me to believe. Okay. It leads me to believe that this is not a reasonable asking price. And on PropStream, I can see that she owns 26 properties. So this is not somebody who has a problem that I can solve by offering her a cash offer. She has, in my opinion, in my head, she has the means and the financial resources to be able to solve any of her problems that may come up. She has 26 properties. Granted, a lot of them seem to be vacant land, but she has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single families and maybe like just as many mobile homes. So this isn't somebody who needs my help. And again, she's asking for a price that doesn't seem to be reasonable. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tag her as high asking price as well as not interested. Save that. Go find her in my dialer and remove her. On to the next. I have another guy that gave me a number. He says 185,000. Let's see what it's looking like. 185. Pull that up on Zillow and see what it says. Zestimate is 139. It has pictures up on Zillow that shows that it may have been renovated in recent years. Let's see when it was last listed. It was last listed 2019 for rent. This may be a mobile home, actually. No, it says single family. Sits on a half acre. So again, his estimate's 139. He's asking for, what was it, 185. I'm going to do the same thing. Just pull this up into PropStream and see what the estimated value is on PropStream. Estimated value is 141. Leads me to believe that this is not a lead. You can only make an assignment fee if you get in something at a discount. Not technically. It's a good point. What if it's just a good deal that your buyer didn't know about? Can't you get a finder's fee for the same amount as an assignment? All right, so I'm going to dissect this question a little bit. You can only make an assignment fee if you get something at a discount? No, technically not. Technically, with this portfolio deal that I keep referring to with these 6 properties, we won't be contracting him at a discount at all. In fact, we're going to give him the purchase price pretty much that he wants, which is going to be the current market value. So we won't go upwards of giving him the purchase price of ARV after it's all fixed up, because this property isn't all fixed up. So, I would be collecting my assignment fee on the down payment. So I would tell my seller, okay, what if we come to an agreement where I put down, $5,000 for each property as a down payment? And if we agree to that, then when I go to market to my buyers, I say 10 or 15,000 down payment required for each property. And I would be collecting my assignment fee in terms of the down payment. Again, to your point, I'm not getting these properties at a discount. It's just a deal that I was able to creatively structure. What if it's just a good deal that your buyer didn't know about? Can't you get a finder's fee for the same amount as an assignment? You probably could. If you find a trustworthy buyer that's willing to just kick you a referral fee or a finder's fee, by all means, if that's how you want to do it that way. But know that you are going to get trapped in a box. You're going to get trapped in a box. And you may be able to, more easily find these properties that are just good deals like you're talking about, that are maybe right where, your buyer is willing to kick you a couple $1,000s. But just know that by not searching for these properties at deep discounts, you will never be able to make more than what your buyer is willing to pay you as a finder's fee. For example, if this property is worth $100,000 and it's as is condition, and your buyer is willing to pay $80,000 for it, and you come along and you say, "Hey, look, I found this property for you." The seller sounds like they're willing to take $80,000. You can buy it and you can pay me a finder's fee of $5,000. That's essentially the same thing as you contracting it with the seller at 75 and assigning it to that buyer at 80. Now, what happens if, that's all you ever did? You never tried to refine your marketing process. You never tried to improve your sales skills, your negotiation skills, and you were only ever looking for people who were willing to sell it to you for a slight discount. Now those people who are out there who have huge problems to solve, they may say in the beginning of the conversation, yeah, I need 80,000. So you have two options at this point. You can go to your buyer and say, hey, I got another property at 80,000. You want to pay me a $5,000 assignment fee? Sure. That makes sense for me, says the buyer. But what if that same seller had a huge problem that you could solve and you just didn't dig deep enough? Again, you didn't improve your sales skills. You didn't improve your negotiation skills. Little do you know, that seller who threw out 80,000, although that still works for your buyer, you could have talked them down to 50,000 and contracted it with the seller and assigned it to the end buyer, as opposed to just giving them the address and hoping that they pay you a finder's fee. Now, that same deal, you're taking down a $30,000 assignment fee instead of just getting that little $5,000 finder's fee from your buyer. Because I don't care what type of buyer, how trustworthy they are, they're still going to want to make the most money. So if you're willing to accept a $5,000 finder's fee, even though they could have paid you a $50,000 assignment fee and it still made sense for them, the numbers, they're going to pay you the five because you didn't put in the extra effort. You didn't build your business model. You didn't refine your sales skills. You didn't refine and improve your negotiation skills to be able to do everything on the front end so that they didn't have to. Not only are you solving the seller's problems by doing all of this stuff, you're also solving the buyer's problems. In fact, the buyer is actually our customer. That's who we need to be tailoring this stuff towards. So the buyer is willing to pay an assignment fee upwards of $50,000 because they didn't have to do anything. You served them up this deal on a silver platter. You were the one who dealt with all of the emotions of the seller. You dealt with all their problems. You dealt with the problem tenant. You hired movers. You rented out storage space. You did all of that so that the buyer didn't have to. And that's why the buyer is going to pay you $30,000 assignment. But if you just simply bring them an address and you say, hey, I think this is a good deal, you should reach out to the seller and buy this. You should deal with all those problems of the seller. They're going to say, okay, when I go to do that, and if I'm able to buy this property, I'll kick you a couple $1,000s for bringing me this address, but I'm the one who's having to do all this work. So why would I pay you any more? Why would I pay you a huge finder's fee if you're not doing anything except sending me addresses? At that point, you're just a bird dog. You're just somebody who's walking down the street and saying, hey, I think Derek might be able to wholesale this. Let me send him this address. At that point, you're only entitled to a finder's fee. You're only entitled to a referral fee, which is $500,000, maybe a couple thousand if you find somebody who's willing to give you that much. But that's my answer to that. Hopefully that didn't come across as too direct and insulting, but I think that's a very relevant question, and it's very, very good that you're looking at it that way. But hopefully my response opened your eyes to the possibility. You can go find addresses. Anybody can scan the MLS and send addresses to a reputable wholesaler or cash buyer. But it's going to take a specific type of person who's going to deal with the seller, reach out to them directly, solve their problems so that the cash buyer doesn't have to. And that's what earns you the money. That's what allows you, again, the bigger the problem, the bigger the bigger the solution that you're able to provide to the seller to solve their problem, the bigger the assignment fee, not the bigger the finder's fee. The finder's fee is going to be the same regardless. Only once you enter into this and embrace this, okay, I'm going to solve problems. I'm going to be the one who's dealing with all of the moving pieces. Only at that point are you entitled to anything more than just a simple referral fee. That was a good question. Good question, REI Capital. Steven said again, 185. This is a little bit more expensive. I'm gonna hit him with I'm gonna tag him as realtor referral, which will prompt that. It's gonna add him to a different campaign, which is my realtor referral campaign, and it's going to prompt that first message within that campaign to get sent out, which says, and it just sent out, okay, as an investor, that would be a bit out of my price range. But if the condition is up to par, I think you may be able to get something close to that if you listed it on market. Have you considered that? And then depending on his response, I may even start working these leads if they're close enough to retail as seller finance opportunities. But for now, I'm just looking to refer them to a realtor that I have so that I can, again, this is a perfect example, the perfect opportunity to talk about this REI Capital. I'm not doing anything for this seller, and I'm not going to be doing anything for this realtor. I'm just simply connecting them. If he says, yeah, you know what, the seller, if he says, I haven't thought about selling it on market, but I think you're right. I think that's probably going to be my best bet. And then I'm going to say, do you have a realtor in mind that you'd want to list with? And he'll say no. And I'll say, hey, I work closely with a realtor here. You know, he takes good care of his people, and I'd love to get you guys in contact with each other. And he says, great. And then if that realtor ends up listing that property and ends up selling that property, what's that realtor going to pay me? He's not going to pay me a percentage of his commission. He's going to pay me $500, $1,000 at most for referring him that property because I didn't do anything. I just simply asked the seller, hey, do you want to sell it on market? Yeah. Okay. Here's the realtor that's going to actually do everything. They're going to be the ones listing the property, hosting the walkthroughs, hosting the open houses, coordinating the appraisals, coordinating all of these things. And I have nothing to do with it. So why would I expect anything more than a couple $100? So I'll wait to see what Steven says. That is the direction that I want that conversation to go, though. That's what I'm hoping for, is for him to say, you know, I haven't thought about it, but now that you mention it, yada, yada, yada. So that's everybody. Sent off just over 150 texts today. So I think I'll end the texting right there, and I'll shift over to cold calling. Just because, you know, again, I want to send off 500 a week. So I'll just make sure that I send off some more tomorrow than I did today. I need to send off about 350 tomorrow to stay on track with my weekly goals, which I can definitely do. I just wasted a little bit of time earlier. Well, I didn't waste, but I just spent, I guess you could say I wasted the time. I should have done this over the weekend, but I was cleaning my lists and stuff and getting them imported and starting my campaigns. So I need to make a habit of doing that over the weekend so that when it comes time Monday morning, I can just simply press go and have the marketing start. But, again, I didn't do that. So I wasted a little bit of time this morning organizing my list and stuff. But I'm going to hop back over to my dialer and I can get some dials up. Hopefully connect with some people. I finally figured out, I reached out to support on Call Tools, figured out why it was marking my campaigns inactive. So I got that addressed. I'm just going to pick a list. Here's a lean list. I don't think I've really called through this one too much. It's a small little list. 100 and where'd that go? Oh no, 323. I might have was looking at something else, but 323 on this list here. If I recall correctly, when I pulled this list, it's just any active involuntary lien. So anything aside from the mortgage that's clouding the title, being, they're late on taxes, they are, any county code violations, bankruptcy, anything like that. That's just like clouding the title, affecting the property. Essentially a debt against the property that the property owner owes is the people that are on this list. So I'm going to call through right now. Pull up my script. I'm going to close this window a little bit because it's annoying to listen to the rain. Throw it on speaker so you guys can hear. Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Birch.
Uh-huh.
Hey, how's it going? This is Derek. Sorry, I know this is a bit random here, but I was calling about a property I believe you own on Sandy Knoll Drive.
No, my house is not for sale. I live in my house, not for sale. So please take whatever y'all give me information from, please disregard, okay?
Completely understand. I appreciate you taking the call, and I'll be sure to remove you from our list here. He hung up. But that's how I like to end those. You know, I get it. He's getting cold. I get it, Mr. Birch. I get it. You don't have to tell me twice. I get it.
Call this number. Please.
Try to make a point to dispo these calls as quickly as possible so that I lower my abandon rate. Abandon being when somebody on another line.
Can I help you?
Hi, I'm sorry. I think I dialed the wrong number here.
No worries. Have a good one.
You too. And I said that because it was pretty clear to me that that was like a place of business, and I definitely do not want to be connecting with these sellers at their place of work. Personally, again, nothing that I do here should. I want nothing that I do here to come across as like me telling you how to operate your own business. It's just personal preference. I know that everybody operates their business differently, so you know, to each his own. Do what you feel. I personally don't want to reach out to people at their place of work. So if somebody answers and it seems like um, it's a business, I will just let them know that sorry, I dialed the wrong number. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to make a point to lower my abandon rate, which is because I'm dialing off of multiple lines here, and I can't obviously talk to two people at the same time. So if I'm on the line with one person and somebody else answers on the other line, and I'm not there to answer or say anything, they will more than likely hang up, and the system counts that as abandoned, meaning that they answered. I never was on the line, and they hung up before I got to the line. And I found that the best way to lower that abandon rate is to get off of that post call screen as quickly as possible, meaning that when that gentleman answers, mark him not interested, DNC if I feel fit as quickly as possible, and then it opens up the line um, for somebody else to be talked to. You know, and I in the past before I've been on here and I've kind of been talking with you guys, hopping back and forth with YouTube, and I take that post call screen as an opportunity to hop over and talk with you guys. But um, my abandon rate was like 30+% sometimes, like a third of the people who answered, I wasn't actually there to even say anything. So I made a point to just get locked in the other day, and I dropped my abandon rate down to like 15%, which was um, really reassuring. So I want to make a point to do that. Or if I'm going to hop over to YouTube and like spend some time on that tab, just to jump out of the campaign altogether. do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. Appreciate everybody who's in here right now and anybody who has tapped in um, during this live session, and anybody who's watching this after the fact who was unable to hop in during the live session. Uh, do me a favor, hit that notification bell. We would love to have you in future live sessions so that you can get notified when I do go live. Try to go live at least once a day, Monday through Friday. So we'd love to have you. We'd love to learn about your business operation, what you got going on, whether or not you've closed some deals, what market you're working, all that good stuff. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Maria.
May I ask who's calling, please?
Yeah, this is Derek. Sorry,
I'm sorry?
this is Derek. Sorry, I know this is a bit random, but I was calling about a property I believe you own on Evergreen Place Drive.
Yes, it's not for sale.
Oh, okay, completely understand. While I have you, would you happen to have any others you might consider selling at the moment?
Not at the moment,
No.
but no, not at the moment. I'm not in the country anyway. at the
Okay,
moment.
okay.
Okay.
And I hate to continue, and keep you on the phone, but I have to ask. It sounds like there may be some consideration in your voice. Do you think that you might be interested in the near future at all?
Yes, but if you like, you can email me and I can give you information so that way whenever I'm ready for it, I can get I can email you and then
Sure.
we can talk about it.
Sure. What's the best email for you? Perfect. So I'll shoot you an email when we get off the phone, just kind of, reintroducing myself, just so I know, do you have like any type of a timeline set, or do you think you'd have an idea of how long it may be before you'd be interested in selling? We talking
It will
3, 6
be
months, or a couple years?
at the middle of the month of the year of 22.
2020.
That's what I'm interested.
Okay.
Around on July and between July and October.
Gotcha. So about 7, 8 months from now.
Yes, sir.
All right. Perfect. I'll go ahead and shoot you an email so that we can reach. I appreciate you taking the call.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you for calling.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Bye. You too.
Come on, bro. You gotta dig a little deep. Ask those questions. Contact made. I'm gonna say follow up. Notes connected with seller. Currently out of country. Will be interested in selling July to October 2022. Provided her email. Hopefully I muted that properly so you guys aren't stealing my leads. Email. I'm gonna copy and paste that into the email section. It's already there, which is pretty reassuring. Batch skip tracing has proper emails. I'm going to create a calendar event. She says that she's not going to be ready till July. I'm going to follow up with her in March. Given any more thought to selling, still looking to sell around July to October. Just wanted to round back and reintroduce myself. Some notes that I'm leaving for myself. And I see this task. Call back. I'm going to call her again. I'm going to cut it in half. She says that she's not going to be ready to sell until July, which is month 7. I'm going to call her at the end of March 2022. Call her March 31st. I've marked her as a follow-up, not any type of a lead, because I don't really know anything about the property. All I know is that she's wanting to sell. Cold calling the best. Yeah, come on. I feel good after that one. Dug a little deeper. I heard it in her voice, so I had to ask. And turns out I asked for the, good reason, because she was interested. That's what you got to, take. Hopefully, what you're able to take away from that too is people get contacted so much from people like us that saying no has become habitual. Hello?
See?
Hi, is this Miss Melgar?
Yes.
Hi there, this is Derek. Sorry, I know this is a bit random here, but I was calling about a property I believe you own on Robertson Road. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick call and actually wanted to see if you'd ever consider an offer on your property there. You ever considered
Okay.
selling?
So you call me for what?
I'm sorry?
You call me for what, you say?
Yeah, I was calling about a property I believe you own over on Robertson Road. Yeah, and I just wanted to give you a quick call and wanted to see if you'd ever consider an offer on your property. Have you ever considered selling?
No,
No.
I'm not interested for so.
Okay, completely understand. Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I don't want to waste any more time with her. I had to take the hood off. Thought stuff was getting serious for a second, but I thought wrong. One second, you guys. Sorry. All right. I'm actually going to. Hopefully, I'm not. Yeah, my mic's muted. I'm gonna hop off right now, you guys. Appreciate you guys hopping in. I'm jumping onto a little coaching call, so appreciate you guys. Anybody who hasn't already, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell.
Can you hear me now?
I'm gonna be back on. Okay, yeah, see now I got him.
Yes, sir.
All
right, cool. We'll give everybody a sec.
Sorry. Appreciate everybody. I'm gonna hop back on tomorrow again. Send off about 350 texts, and I'm gonna hit some cold calls as well. Wasn't able to do too much cold calling just now, but glad that I was able to at least do a little bit to generate that follow up prospect right there. So, yeah, gonna be hopefully doing a lot more cold calling tomorrow on top of my texting, and for sure doing a lot of cold calling and follow ups Wednesday through Friday. Somebody, Troy, one of my subscribers, has provided me a fire damage property. I planned on hopping on here with you guys today and listening to his call and kind of picking it apart and then calling that property owner. I'll probably do that Wednesday, to be quite honest, because tomorrow I'm already going to be stacked up with my texts and stuff. So I'll probably plan to do that Wednesday just in case you guys are interested in checking that out. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Have a great Monday. Hopefully you kill the rest of the week. I know you will. Again, appreciate every single last one of you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, peace.